Hello there and welcome to another Feminist Knowledge Project video. I'm Samantha Whiteman and today I'll be interviewing Lucy.
I'm Lucy Parsons. I am a senior technical delivery manager at Zest. So that's basically an electrical engineer and designer. And I work on all things EV across all sorts of local authorities and mainly London councils.
Fair enough. How long have you been at Zest?
3.5 years, I think. Yeah.
Fair enough. What about other electrical engineering jobs beforehand?
Oh God, right, okay. So I suppose I'll start at the beginning. So I did my work experience way back when I was in halfway through secondary school in year nine.
Yeah.
Um and always interested in electrical stuff. Like even as a kid, I was always taking my toys apart, like seeing how they worked and that sort of thing. So I decided way back then that I wanted to do my work experience at an electrical company,
Yeah.
which everybody thought was really bizarre because girls didn't work as electricians. That was probably maybe 30 years ago, I think. So yeah, it was an odd thing to do at the time, but I wanted to do it anyway because the more people told me no, the more I wanted to do it, I think. Um,
Good
uh,
mindset to have though, isn't
it
it?
absolutely is, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I did my work experience at an electrical company, really enjoyed it, a small like family company near where I lived. Really enjoyed it, and then just decided that's what I wanted to do for a living. So I worked for that company in the summer and in the holidays and swept up and made tea and did all the boring jobs that nobody wanted to do. And then just, yeah, worked my way up. So I did an apprenticeship, a normal electrical apprenticeship. I was the first female electrician to get qualified through Doncaster College.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so I qualified back in, I think around 2005. And I've been in the game ever since, to be honest. I've done all sorts. I've worked abroad, I've worked in Afghanistan. I went and did a bit of work for the American government for on military bases. Yeah, I've been all over the world doing it and been, yeah, so in some great places. It's certainly taken me a long way. So it's, yeah, I love it. It's a way of life, I think, as when you're an engineer, definitely.
Yes. So do you think it's easier for women entering the trade now compared to sort of when you started?
Yes, I do. I think it is a lot easier now. It's a lot more, or it's a lot less. Um, it's seen less as odd. Like you don't get
Yeah.
people sort of asking questions. I mean, even when I first applied, I got, everybody asking me, well, why do you want to do that? Whereas now, hopefully girls just apply and they're not asked so many questions. You still get the odd person saying, oh, that's an unusual job and that sort of thing. But it is much, much easier now, which is good because,
Oh yeah.
there's nothing we can't do, basically.
What sort of drew you to Zest?
So as an engineer, um, you kind of the way you always want to learn. There's
Yeah.
always a drive to learn new things, and um, the electrical world is always ever evolving. And I think at the time I was working in facilities management, so basically I managed a portfolio of buildings and their equipment within them. So I had around 300 engineers that I used to manage and used to send them around fixing stuff in commercial properties and office blocks and things like that. And it had got to the point where I wasn't learning anything new. It was the same. And like I say, as an engineer, you always want to learn new things. You always want to stay on top of the technology and things like that. So the company I worked for had a subsidiary company that did EV, and they were looking for somebody to manage projects, and it just seemed unbelievably interesting. So I moved into EV that way. Um, and then Zest came along, and I knew a couple of people that worked at Zest,
Yeah.
and their ethos is people first. So it's, people and planet, and that is kind of that is what we all want to do. You know, we want to make sure that we're leaving behind the best planet for future generations, and that's kind of what's important. It's not a corporate world at Zest. It's kind of making sure that the right people are served with the right EV chargers, and that kind of aligns with my outlook on life, to be honest. So yeah.
Very nice. So, have you seen more gender diversity in this job then?
Yeah, 100% actually. Zest is the only workplace I've worked at where I've actually worked with other female engineers.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
so I've got a lady in my team called Terry. She's an electrical engineer as well, and that's the first time I've ever worked with and managed another lady. So it was lovely to see, and it's definitely I think that because the EV world is new or new and growing,
Yeah.
it's also easier for it not to be as odd for ladies to be in it as well, because nobody knows it. So everybody's learning. The men are learning and women are learning. So it's kind of it's like we're on equal territory, if you like. So it's yeah, it's definitely a lot more diverse, I think.
Have you ever witnessed gender bias, not just with Zest, but with any job then?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's kind of, you know, it's unfortunate that it happens and it still happens today. I haven't personally seen it for a long time, but certainly when so I've got a daughter who's 17, and
Yeah.
when not long after I had her, I got well whilst I was pregnant, I was being made redundant. And I was being made redundant basically because I was pregnant and I was going to have to go on maternity leave. And you know, it's just one of them unfortunate things that if they say the right things, they think companies think that they can get away with it, and they can't. You know, at the end of the day, and I did end up taking that company to court because for unfair dismissal. Um, and yeah, it is one of them unfortunate things that people still think that it's acceptable, and it's clearly not. Um, and you know, then when I was looking for another job afterwards, I'd sort of go in for a job interview, and they'd say, "Oh, you know, just in conversation, oh, have you got any children?" And I'd say, "Oh, yeah, one. She's only, you know, X amount of months old." And then they sort of, you know, look at me a bit sort of, "Oh, are you going to be able to do all this work when you've got a baby to look after?" And then some of them would even ask me if I was planning on having any more, because they didn't really want me to go back on maternity leave, which is an unbelievable question, isn't it? You can't
Yeah.
ask people that. That's crazy. Um, so yeah, it's I've certainly experienced it a few times, and I think as well, what really surprised me as I was coming up as an engineer, was the older generation, who I thought would be the harder generation to sort of win round, were actually the ones that were most open and really like happy to just teach anybody. They didn't really care what gender you were. They just wanted to pass on their knowledge. Whereas the younger generation, especially when I started to have apprentices that I was trying to train, they were a lot more sort of against it and a bit like, well, I don't want a woman to tell me what to do. So it was really weird. It was kind of the opposite way to what I always thought it would be. So, uh, but yeah, hopefully, touch wood, I've not really experienced that for quite a long time now. So hopefully, it's getting better.
Yeah. What do you think the biggest barriers in this field of work are or were?
Um, yeah, I don't, I don't really think there's many barriers now for women. I think it's more sometimes we're our own barrier in
Yeah.
thinking that maybe that, you know, what if we get treated differently and things like that. So I don't necessarily think there are barriers that are put in place on purpose, if you know what I mean. I
Yeah.
think it's more just barriers that we put in place for ourselves now. Um, and I mean, sometimes, unfortunately, I do think you're always going to have to prove yourself a little bit more. You're always just going to have to go that little bit of an extra mile. And if I'm honest, I don't think that'll ever change because, again, you feel like you've always got to prove yourself a little, just that little bit extra. Because what you find is if you make a mistake, like if I make a mistake, everybody remembers because it's all that lady electrician made a mistake. They don't think, oh, it's just they made a mistake. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you're always having to prove yourself. So I don't necessarily think there's many barriers in stopping people or stopping ladies getting into industry. It's just that you feel like there might be, so that makes it more difficult, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Are there any initiatives or changes that you've seen that are helping it improve diversity? Maybe again, not even with Zest, with any of the jobs that you've been in?
Yeah, just across the industry as a whole, to be honest, there's
Yeah.
lots of like so there's schemes like women in EV that don't just look at electricians, they look across the board at women in that sector, and that's split across every company within the sector as well. So, you know, I've won it twice, I think, in the last sort of 4 years for being an influential person in EV, and they were nominations that came outside of Zest from people that I've just worked with in the industry. So you've got governing bodies like the IET, and they're always championing um, female engineers as well. So it's kind of across the board. I think that people are trying to make it more feasible and more normal. Um, the difficult thing is, I think, rather than so sometimes if you want to be equal, standing on a chair and asking people to look at you is not equal.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So if you're stood there going, oh, look at me, aren't I wonderful? And I'm a female engineer, you're not equal anymore. You want to be better and you want to be
Yeah.
seen. So sometimes just doing the job day to day and getting the results, that's what makes people see you better than shouting about it.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
I
know what I mean?
definitely get what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
What does an average day on the job look like for you?
Oh wow. Yeah. So I'm currently managing 10 different projects with different local authorities. So it usually starts with some meeting or another with
Yeah.
some local authority. It's usually yeah. So I'll start the day usually with a meeting for a client or something like that. And then is usually I do a lot of designs, so I do a lot of electrical designs and engineering. So I will I'll try and do my day-to-day job and pull together some specification packs and things like that, or reviewing health and safety documentation and things. Then around I usually have meetings between 11 and 2. So they can be meetings with my team, making sure they're all right, they all know what they're doing and what they're up um, to just people asking me loads of random questions. um, Mainly because it's kind of, we've got sales teams, we've got bid teams, we've got after sales teams. So it's usually like all this different information that feeds in. And then contractor meetings. So I have a lot of contractor meetings every day. Yeah, so most of my day is taken up by meetings, to be honest, talking about what I do,
Yeah, yeah.
rather than actually physically doing it. Yeah.
Can you share a moment where you felt especially proud of yourself?
Um, so probably, so I go into, I usually take a day or 2 days out every year to go into my local primary school that my daughter went
Yeah,
to to build little solar powered cars. So they have these little kits that they build together, and I'll help them build it. So it's usually between years 5 and 6. So it's obviously a different set of kids each time. And we'll go in and we build these little cars, and then we have a little race in the playground and stuff like that. And every year it's just so fun to see they suddenly just when they work, when the
yeah,
sun comes out and they work, it's like they're just amazed by it. And the achievement that they get from that is, I'm really proud that I can teach them how to do that. And
yeah.
I've had kids come up to me and say, oh, that's it, I want to be an engineer, I want to be an electrician. It's like, yeah, that's everything to me. Like if just one kid decides to be an electrician because I've done that, then that's great. I love it.
That's really nice. That's really nice. Have you got any advice that you'd like to give to young women considering a career in this work?
Just do it. Just
Just do it.
don't worry about it. Yeah, just like, and have confidence in yourself. Like there's I think the more you can sort of say, yeah, do you know what? I know what I'm doing. in any job, actually. I think that people see you as successful, or to be successful you have to believe in yourself. No matter what you're trying to do, you have to believe in what you're doing. And if you don't, then maybe you're either not doing the right thing and it's not really where you want to be, or you just need to build up that confidence. Because yeah, I think as soon as you know exactly what you're doing, then you it just happens. Do you know what I mean? So like when I was not academic at school, I was not the clever kid, I didn't get very good GCSEs. I had to reset my maths like 5 times because I wanted to be an electrician, and you had to have your maths and stuff like that. I wasn't, um I definitely wasn't that person that was going to university. That was never going to happen for me. And I think sometimes, like, I'll say to people when I'm talking to them, oh, they'll say, oh, you must have gone to university and stuff. And I'm like, no, didn't go to uni, didn't do very good at school, but hard work, determination, and self-belief, and you can achieve whatever you want, I think. And so, yeah, I think just believing in yourself, really.
No, that's really nice. Have you got anything else that you might want to add?
No, yeah, no, I don't think so. I think it's brilliant what you're doing, and I
Yeah,
think, yeah, I think the more girls can see that you don't have to be pigeonholed, you don't have to be in a box, you can literally do whatever you want. There's no, you know, the sky's the limit sort of thing. So, and I tell my daughter the same thing. Like I say, she's 17 now and sort of going out there into the world as well. And it's like, do you know what? If do what you want, do what
yeah,
makes you happy. I think you spend far too long at work to be doing something you don't want to do. So if you get out of bed in the morning and you want to get out of bed in the morning to go and do it, then you're doing the right thing at the end of the day. So yeah.
Thanks for watching. Go check out other Feminist Knowledge Project videos. Bye.